Welcome to Keiko Vision, a podcast to pump you up to change the world. Hosted by me, Jordana. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome to Keiko Vision with Jordana. I'm Jordana, and I will be your host. Today, I'm going to share the second part of the interview with my good friend, Meg. So if you didn't get a chance to see the first half, it is last week's episode, Antidepressants for All. So definitely check that out. But before I do that, I want to talk for a couple of minutes about the education system in America. I'm frustrated with our schooling, and my kids are in great schools. So one is in the West Windsor-Plainsboro School District. The other goes to a private school in Princeton Academy. Both schools, amazing, great teachers. The problem that I have is with society at large and what it is we're teaching our children. School hasn't changed dramatically since I was growing up, but the tools around us have. We need to understand how to use the tools at our disposal, not try to memorize every fact that's out there or every equation. So many kids have special needs, right? Including my own. And I don't even think we should call it special needs anymore. We're finding out more about the brain, and we're able to understand how people learn. And people learn differently, but we're still teaching the same. Just like we see in every other industry, the education system in America has deteriorated since the 1980s. So during the time that we stopped caring about the overall good of society and started to cater our interests to billionaires and special interests, large corporations, this is the same time that we see the education system just going to shit. I released an episode of Utopia versus Dystopia on the education system in America last Thursday. The video is only 15 minutes, and the first half talks about what it's like to live on a teacher's salary and how so many teachers have to rely on other income as well, and why this is. It's all a matter of priority, right? So if we're cutting taxes for big businesses, for super wealthy individuals, then that's going to come from somewhere. There is less for the overall pot, and where it is coming out of is everywhere else. So everything that benefits widespread society is being sacrificed. When it comes to the education of our children, it's infuriating. It's infuriating with everything, but especially with our kids. The second half of the video talks about why the education system in America has been deteriorating. It talks about privatization, which has affected more than just the education system. Privatization is the handing off of public responsibilities to the private sector or to corporations. So it benefits corporations, and it often shifts the goal away from public good or the best interest of the young minds in our country when it comes to education towards profit. The video ends basically with a warning of we can't rely on the federal government to fix this problem, and that they have been bought out by these big corporations, and that is why we've seen the deterioration in the first place. The video touches on how our education system just is not preparing the next generation for the skills that they need to be successful in today's world. And I completely agree with that. But I'd take that one step further. And by not adapting and adjusting our education system, it's making our kids feel like shit. our focus is on getting test scores up in all areas to be somewhat acceptable. But look, we have the tools at our disposal. My oldest has the same teacher for math and science. He's getting an A in one and a D in the other. For me, I wish we could just focus on that A. I don't care if he knows advanced algebra. As long as he knows how to use the tools to get him the right answer, I'm okay with that. Let's focus that mental energy then on the areas where he has interest. And this one-size-fits-all approach to education, it's just not working. And it's having an impact on the mental health of the next generation. After we come back, I'm going to share the second half of the interview that I had with Meg. It starts off talking a little bit about the education system, and then we get a little sidetracked. So this was after our kind of virtual happy hour. Since this podcast is new, we have no sponsors. So I will shamelessly plug Keiko. And if you get sick of hearing this, then reach out to become a sponsor.
Keiko, the social app. Keiko, the social app. Keiko, the social app. Keiko rules. Keiko, the social app. Billionaire greed. Keiko, the social app. Destroying America. Keiko, the social app. T-minus 7 years and counting. Keiko, the social app.
And with that, let's get back to the show. Thanks for coming back. As I mentioned before the break, I'm going to share the second half of the interview that I had with my friend Meg. And here it is. Enjoy. So you've got 3 boys and I've got 2 boys. And one, if not both of my boys, they're not like, they don't learn the same way as like maybe everybody else, or not everybody else. I think that so many kids are kind of falling outside of that traditional learning, the way that we've been teaching kids how to learn.
No, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. So my oldest is probably the most normal, but he's like, a lot of times he's one of those that's like, if he's not interested in it, or if the teacher, like, he's got this one class and it's English, and he's actually really brilliant. Like, he can write, he can read. He doesn't read really ever, but he's an excellent writer. He writes like as though he did read a lot. Like, he just has sort of a creative spark about him, and you think,
like, he's like, just his like his drawings very like art.
But his drawings
are amazing.
He can draw, but he can also actually write, and I've actually been blown away by some of the things. And he's 12, and I think this one particular story that he started to write, and him and his friend kind of worked on it, but we know him, he was the master. He was the one that actually wrote it. They just bounced ideas off each other or whatever. But it's just very well written, like very authorly, like, I guess, like, very, it's weird. Like, even I'm like, holy crap, you wrote this, type of stuff. So, he's just creative in that way, but you send him a math problem, forget about it. He's like, math, it melts down every single time. He gets in the car the other day and he's telling his friend, he's like, well, I'm pretty sure I'm failing math and I'm failing English and I'm like, why are you failing English? Like, you fail math, I get it. He falls asleep in math, but he doesn't. Like, his English teacher this year is one of those guys who's like, got the parents app. And every day, I talk to the children today about responsibility, and they're responsible for making sure that they've got this part of the assignment it's done, but this part, and they need to put it in the in bin as soon as they come into class. And I'm like, whoa, don't tell me. I don't know what you're talking about right now. You know what I mean? And they need to study, and I talk to them about procrastination and how that can really set you back in life and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, yeah, this guy's intense, but, so naturally Jeremy's like, I don't want anything to do with this. This guy's insane.
It takes the joy out of like probably his favorite area or one of his favorite areas.
Otherwise, a very, very strong subject for him. And a lot of times, like the messages that come home, I know aren't meant for him in particular. Like he might be, star model student some of the times, at least half of the time. He did fall asleep in class the other day and didn't take out his assignment, so I got a message home about that. But I'm like, dude, really, get a life, like this teacher. It's like, all right, I get you got kids who aren't engaged in English, but they're not gonna be. And, some of them are going to be and some of them aren't going to be. And if the one that is falling asleep because you're harping at the ones that aren't interested, and he's already like, yeah, I got this done already, and you're spending the entire class getting this thing done that I already did, yeah, I'm going to freaking fall asleep, But then you have math where he's just like, I can't think about this, and falls asleep,
I just feel like with at least Chase, it's funny, his math and his science teacher are the same teacher, and one he's getting an A in and one he's getting a D in. And I feel like there's so much emphasis on like the areas that the kids are doing poorly in. And it's like, okay, well, how often are you actually going to use those in life? Like, let's like make sure that they can get by in everything. But then why aren't we just propping them up?
But there's a bit too much testing on certain things like science. Don't test on science. You don't need to test on science. If I want to know how a flower grows, that's great. Now I know, but you don't need to depend my entire, or chemistry especially. That was something I was like, but there's certain things that they just don't latch onto it. And I think math, why do you need to know algebra? Like there's a lot of math things right now that are just, they're forced to learn. That's advanced math. And it's like,
well, and especially because you have all, like, why do we have these tools available at our fingertips if we're not going to fucking use them, right? Like, we have a smartphone. Like,
teach me how I need to enter it in the calculator.
Exactly. Let's not spend all of this mental energy on the backdrop of that. Unless like that is the area of passion. Like if that's like the area, if you've got a kid that really is into the math and everything, yeah, let them like try to get them to focus on that. And then let the kid that's interested in science focus on science, and the kid that's interested in English, like I feel like there's so much emphasis placed on like the deficiencies in the kids. And we wonder, like there was just an article today that came out and how it was like 20% of teens that were interviewed for whatever the survey was had thought of suicide at one point in the last, like, I forget the period of time. And they're wondering why like mental health is such an issue for the kids. It's like,
stressing them the hell out.
Yeah, no, it's like first you see the adults, like, and that has to come down on the kids.
Doing taxes alone to be like, man,
yeah.
What happens if I don't do this?
Dude, I have not done my taxes yet. No, I have not even started them yet.
Swing. We'll get back to the other conversation, but filed my taxes and I was like, woohoo! I was like, look how little we made this year. So I'm not seeing right, but I guess it was a bad year, right? And then I'm like, but we're getting all this money back, and I'm like, woohoo! The next day I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, shit. I didn't put my unemployment earnings in there. So then I had to go, like, so do I file an amendment? Like, I literally just filed my taxes, like, 2 days ago. Dude, now I'm going to have to, like, get a return back and then pay half of it back. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, oh, if I could have just worked damn full time, because it was the only thing that was sent to me digitally. And even though I had saved it in my inbox, it was like I forgot about it. And I even said that thinking, like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And
it's amazing to me because businesses are required to report this information to the government.
Yes.
So why exactly are we doing all of this? Like, okay, I understand if there's like itemized deductions or something, but like, why isn't the template like just...
You should be able to say, my shit's normal, proceed.
Yes, this is the amount that I either owe or to get back. And, you know, if there's anything...
Nothing I put in. I got 3 kids, and I got... Here's my incomes, here's my tax withheld. Like, I literally fill out... It takes me like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And most of that 10 minutes is me going, did I click the right thing? Is there something else I need to do? You know what I mean? Like, and then I put in like, oh yeah, that's really weird. I was actually kind of worried because the child tax credits and everything, they paid us out for ahead of time and whatever. And I'm like, how do I get so much back? And you know, I forgot to put my unemployment in, and I probably dropped like 10 tax brackets, you know, whatever it was. They're like, man, this chick's score is full. Give her some tax breaks here. And I was like, woo, I'm rich. And looking back, I'm like, man, should I try to get away with it? I don't know. But then that's tax. I'm not getting. I was like, you know what? It's better off for me. Like the minute I realized like it was an honest mistake. But I'm like, if just to be sure this doesn't come back to haunt me some way, I'm going to have to file the damn stupid amendment.
So I put out an episode on unemployment that had like clips of John Oliver recently. And there was a clip that there was like a fraud investigation in a state, I think it was Minneapolis, but I'm not positive. Or Minnesota, sorry. State, not one of those. No, yeah, it was the state. But there was
Minneapolis is in Minnesota.
Yeah. Right? No, but it was like there was like an investigation of fraud accusations by the state, and it found that 70% were in error. So they were accusing people of defrauding the government that weren't actually defrauding the government 7 out of 10 times. And they were making them repay the amount, like 400% penalty. And so it's like, dude, they're like they legitimately needed that money, and it was our government's mistake. And like
so
it's insane to me.
Interestingly, and I don't know, maybe you know more about this than I would, because I really don't follow. I just can't. So,
I can't follow a lot of shit, especially when it comes to like all the international shit. I'm like, I'm trying to follow the shit that's happening here, and it's already weighing me down so much. Fucking like, first you get the house, and then you get the but like when you start getting into international territory. Sorry.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, actually.
Yeah.
I was going to say it was on the unemployment front. And I was like, so I collected unemployment for, 2020, March. Really, I think it was like April of 2020. That's when I started going. They reduced me to part-time. And I was part-time through, like, I've only in the past couple of months been building up to still 40 hours. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still, there's weeks so I'm like 38, 37 hours, and like, I need more. But unemployment ran out like last August or September. I randomly get, and it just happened the other day, random unemployment deposits to my bank account. Like, why did I just get this big unemployment? And it's not like a payment. It's like here's $2,000. And I'm like,
what?
But then I get shit in the mail that says, well, you owe $10 of overpayment from unemployment. And then here's another $5 that we overpaid you for unemployment. And I'm going, what in the frick is going on here? Like, because it's happened several times, and it didn't happen for a little while, but there were several times over the past year where I'd get random lump sums deposited to my account from New Jersey unemployment. And I'm like, but there's all kinds of laws changing and there's all kinds of stimulus payments. Like sometimes I think there was one of the stimulus payments I didn't even know we were getting until it was like, why is all this money in my account? But I've also recently, I have about the one I just got yesterday was a letter. It was like on one page, it was like, we overpaid you by $10. And then another page, it was like, we overpaid you by $5. And the next page, it was like, we overpaid you by $300. And I'm like, whoa. You overpaid me what, when, where, and how, and why. And you want it now back?
Yeah, it's like I needed that, so you gave it to me.
It's gone. It's gone. Baby.
Yeah, possession is 9/10 of the law, and it's not even in my possession anymore.
No, I'm like, in tight times, you cannot ask for this back. You accidentally put it in my account. I have no idea why. You don't, not like I have anybody I can ask. It's not like you have a number I can call that I'm going to get through on. Not like if I send you an email, you're going to get back to me. And I'm just like, okay, you gave me a bunch of money. What the hell? In a time when we're getting stimulus left and right, or you're getting all these extra bonus unemployment pay, like, I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm starting to wonder, like, this isn't going to come back to haunt me, right? Because that's not cool. I'm going to be screwed, so I was just kind of like, I'm just going to put it to the side here and see if they send another one. I don't know. Like, what? I just don't, like, I feel like I need to talk to somebody about that. Like, y'all gonna put, like, what's happening here?
They can't, if they, especially if it was like a mass error, but even if it's a
like
single
6 months later, why
you
are
can't,
you giving me a unemployment deposit? Like, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, another mystery of life, of where that's what they should be teaching in school is,
you know what could get rid of all of this? Universal basic income. It gets rid of the need for unemployment altogether. It gets rid of the need of disability altogether. It gets rid of the, like, all of these government agency. Universal basic income. It's what Andrew Yang ran off of. It's like so that was why he wanted to be president, because he realized that with technology and automation, unless we start giving people money, the money is just going to funnel up to the top. And
I've seen people. Yep.
Yeah. So one of the solutions,
automation could take over my job.
Well, you even said your job, you do what used to be done by a lot of other people, right?
Yeah. So my job is really like, I'm sort of think of so I don't really know what my title is. I don't officially have a title. I don't even know who my direct boss is. Because I literally like do this for this person, I work for that, do these things for the other person, do those, or I'm on a project and working with these other people this time, and it literally is, I'm so all over the place. Like, I literally think that I'm a utility player, like in a business aspect, a utility player. It's like I'm the designer, I'm a copywriter, I process orders. I am setting up a Zendesk right now for everybody, which is, they're making it beastly for sure. And, and it's just kind of like, I'm technical, but I'm creative, but I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. And I'm like, and then I just keep going to the higher ups, whether they're my direct bosses or not. And I'm like, I still don't have enough to do. I'm sitting around twiddling my thumb up my ass, like, give me some work.
You're able to accomplish so much more because of technology. Like,
right?
Like, it's just, it's amazing. One person can do so much.
So incredibly, though, is that, so part of me is just setting up some technology that's going to help do things but what I'm watching happen is they want all this technology, but all right, so here's an example. Like, they want to we're setting up this customer service interface with this program. I mean, you know what Zendesk is. It's like a help center type of thing. It's a customer service tool where you know who's called. You can get the calls and the chats and the emails and and track things. And you can set up and you customize it for how you need it to be. And you can even get reporting in it and all blah, blah, blah. So I'm coordinating all of this. I'm not the end all be all of all this, because when it comes to the actual purchase and whatever, it's going to be, I'm not dealing with that, but I'm dealing with the setup.
You're dealing with the setup, but does
research and the setup and all of that.
Does that include chat bots?
It does have chat bots.
Yeah.
So and yes, exactly.
That automates all of customer service. Like that automates everything, all of like the triage, the routing and everything. Like,
so they're going to spend all this money because it's really very expensive to have this, because you pay per agent that you have working. But, all this stuff. It's this big, big budget thing or whatever. But this company that I work for still wants to keep a receptionist to answer that initial call and to be able to direct it so they can have a personal touch. I'm like, you're defeating the purpose of having this system. You're completely defeating the purpose of having this system. So I'm like on this team that actually is like, we can use technology to get these things done more efficiently, but I'm also that person who's running on the workarounds because they don't have what they need to implement that technology. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
a lot of companies are somewhat like they know what their final goal almost is, but like the steps that are required to take to get to that goal and like that initial investment, a lot of times there's hesitancy.
Yes. So I'm that person that fills in the blanks across the company that like, I've been called the secret weapon. I've been called because of the person's like sitting in the background being like, all right, I'll do the legwork. Like I do the legwork. I'm gathering it. I do the dirty work in the background that nobody else is, the stuff that people don't really want to know about and don't know about. Like they don't even know, like my superiors have no idea what I do. But I tell you what, I keep the shit running and I'm saving a lot of other people's asses. And I'm doing a lot of waiting around because I am doing work for these people that needs to go. They send it to me. I send it back to them. And I'm still waiting to get it back again. And I'm like, I think they forgot about the thing that they assigned me that they wanted to review before I executed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, where are we going here? Like, this is stupid. This is freaking stupid.
And even with you kind of being that glue that in some ways like holds shit together. Like, isn't it kind of fucked up? It's like, okay, you're kind of like holding that.
They're losing a lot of knowledge. I'm a knowledge
yes
over here. Yeah,
and that if you take all of like those pieces away, like that could set them back so much. And you don't even have the stability to know that you have 40 hours a week. Like you're like, okay, some weeks I'll have 37, some weeks I'll have 30. Like. And so you can't even.
Y'all ain't keeping me busy enough. You're not entertaining me enough. I'm just over here doing a task here, a task there, a task over there. And it's like, and some of them I get excited when it's a really big thing. Like we just literally the other day, we got approved to move forward with the Zendesk thing. And I'm like, woohoo, it's on. But I'm sitting here waiting on people to give me the information that they were supposed to give me, or probably should have been preparing all along. You know what I mean? It's like they want me to set up this extravagant setup for ticketing systems in reportings and all these different things. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to provide me with that stuff, the final list of what you want to be included in this ticketing system and the reporting, or what you want to have certain reps directly receive certain emails from certain based on domain. Well, I need to know what those are so I can put it in there, but like I can't move forward until I have what I need. And they're all like running around with chicken with their heads cut off. Nobody knows which end is up. Then they're rethinking the whole original plan. And I'm like, this is not, I'm just sitting over here like, I think we were on track, guys. Why don't you just like keep going? And then they dropped me off the call. I was like, so I think if you want to add this thing into it, this needs to be a whole separate entity altogether. And then like the screen went blank and I was like, what the hell happened? Apparently they didn't know I even had got disconnected because they were on a conference room and I'm sitting there up on a big screen like an idiot,
Were you like frozen in place? Like
So what happened, it was Teams and whatever happened is all of a sudden I lost all sound. I couldn't hear anything anybody was saying, but I could see them still moving and talking. And I was like, I can't hear you guys. I don't know if you can hear me. And like, it didn't seem to do anything. So I was like, all right. So I was like, I'm going to do the leave and come back thing. But when I left, I was like, where is it? Like the whole meeting, like rejoin didn't exist because they had called from like they were in a conference room and they put up on one person's computer. So it was a one specific person. I was just like, oh yeah. But it was also a meeting that I waited 20 minutes for them to start. I was like, are we still doing this? I'm not sure we still doing it. I went, walked away, came back. They still hadn't started. I was like, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're late. 20 minutes in. And I'm like, okay, cool. What are we meeting about? Like, I don't even know. They brought me in too early. They needed to have this conversation before they brought me in is what happened. I was sitting there like, I was just kind of like, so I'm going to implement whatever you need to implement into this system, but y'all need to figure out what frick it is you're going to implement. What you want. What do you want? You need to figure this out. They didn't bring it to me. I don't know.
You could always give them your ideas.
I'm trying to say, y'all overcomplicating this. Big time. Overcomplicating it. And then, so what happened is that, so the manager who's in charge, who's not in charge of this, but she's the person who I'm working with on this. And then there's some other people who are involved. And she's newer. She only came in like October. But there's a lot to learn. So she's in there as a customer service manager with customer service experience. And her task is to, manage customer service. And really, I think there was a lot of improvements that can be made in customer service. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like she's there to put improve. So this is one of the big things. And but they tasked me with dealing with all the gunk of the project, doing the research, figuring out how to work the interface of it and everything else. And there's parts of IT, obviously, I need, and, management, they need, customers, people need to give input in it. But I'm organizing it, so to speak. But she doesn't. She wants to do all this like documenting and reporting on tickets about root causes of why things are happening and why we're having issue, all this kind of stuff. But she doesn't understand the process enough, or doesn't understand actually what happens or any of it enough to be able to clearly articulate what it is that she wants us to do. And you're dealing with a team who isn't like, I'm sort of like, okay, so guys, sometimes they're going to point you in a direction and you need to run with that. But none of these people are the kind of people who you point them in a direction and they can run with it, And I'm like, so I think what she's trying to do is she's trying to empower you to figure out what the best way is to do this. She's just giving you a high level overview of what she wants. And it's just like, I gotta get out of here, man. I can't deal. I'm like, I don't know. It's clear as day, but I'm also over here without a lot of distractions. You know what I mean? Like most of the work day, it's just me and silence. And, I get called in these meetings and I'm like, this is asinine. What are you people doing? Give me some work to do or something. Like, stop bringing these meetings to chit chat about stuff that's going in circles. Like it just goes, things just go in circles, and it's like, what do I do here? I'm not sure what I'm contributing to this, but you know. Anyways, we got way far off track. Did you want to go back to like the kid thing and the education thing, or?
No, I think that, like, I don't know. I had fun talking to you. I'm gonna like go back and edit this.
Toast. You're like, I'm toast.
I'm definitely like, yeah. You're awesome. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
That's it for this episode of Keiko Vision. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next Tuesday.
Keiko the social app. Keiko the social app. Keiko the social app. Keiko rules. Keiko the social app. Billionaire greed. Keiko the social app. Destroying America. Keiko the social app. T-minus 7 years and counting. Keiko the social app.